Extra dropping.
Dick. We're both
Total
dicks.
dick.
Well, so hi Michelle.
Hello, London.
Hello there, Matt.
How are
you
you?
reading you? I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm excited about this new extra bonus.
Extra droppings, we decided to call it.
Well, you came up with the name.
Yes, but you agreed on it. It's a good name.
It is a good name. And you know what? Every time I hear the word droppings, you know what I think of?
You having to clean my dad's car of bird droppings.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Would you like to go out with that scraper and get those droppings off the car?
Oh, I love him. No, I kept thinking your dad droppings. I hadn't heard droppings for years till your dad
had
said
dropped
droppings.
out of common use, hadn't it? And then suddenly it was back again. Now I can't stop using it. The reason why we're doing extra droppings, Michelle, is because we were talking last episode. Well, you particularly gave a fantastic episode full of interesting facts and lots of swear words from the Exorcist film, and I'd watched a film called docuseries called Cursed Films, and there were so many other cursed films that I wanted to talk about, and that's why we've decided to do a mini episode, extra droppings.
I know, because
to
there
touch
was
on
just
those things.
too much to talk about. But I have to just tell you, I got in trouble for that last episode.
Did your mum get upset?
Jen,
Sorry,
I got in
Jen.
trouble from Jen. No, I spoke to her and because she texted me and I said, "Oh, Mum, did you listen?" And not really any response. And I was like, "Oh, I'm in trouble." But normally I would get the zip it emoji from Mum if I'm in big trouble.
I'd like to know what that emoji is. I think you need to send it to me.
I know, I was going
I
to,
could use
wasn't I?
that.
Yeah, no, it's the one with the zipper mouth.
No, I've not seen that.
Yeah, Jen loves the zip it emoji. And, but yeah, so she sent it. No, she didn't send it, but I called her and I said, oh, you know, Mum, what did you think? And she's like, oh, well, you know, she's like, you're going to get a lot of letters about that. And I said, what do you mean?
From Mrs. R. Trellis, North Wales.
And she said, oh, you know, people are going to think I was a bad mother. She's like, I never let you kids watch those, did I? And I said, yes, Mum. I said, we watched all of it. And she said, oh, well, it must have been when I was at bingo.
So it's okay that she leaves her children unattended at home to go and play bingo.
And then she said, and I did my research and they didn't release it on DVD till 2001. And I was like, yeah, but Mum, it was Warner Home Movies. It was on Betamax.
Had she completely wiped from her memory the fact that you guys had a Betamax recorder?
Yeah,
VCR
well, she said,
or whatever.
Well, she said, you know, we didn't have VHS. You didn't get all the good movies on Beta. Which is true. But anyway, she said she liked the episode, except for
That's
that
good.
bit.
Did she like her daughter using dropping the C word, like left, right and centre? I guess it was like, you know, verbatim to what you'd watched on a film.
Well, she didn't mind so much, but she said, oh, Geordie, she's good, isn't she? And I said, yeah, she's great. She went, well, she is the funny one.
Thanks, Jen. I love you too.
So, yes, poor old Jen.
Bless her heart. Oh, I had a note, but it's on my phone. I re-listened to the episode a couple of times. I don't know if you're aware of it, Michelle, but you called it Exorcist instead of Exorcism. He gave her the Exorcist. He'd done an exorcist on her.
I did hear that once, and I was like, oh,
But
bit
it's
of
okay.
a typo.
It's okay, because I think I had consistently said Muriel instead of mural the week before that. So, you know, we're learning. We're getting there. We're learning. And sorry about all the babble at the beginning. If you like it, great. If you don't, then that's too bad. Right.
Okay.
Let's talk about the cursed horror films, though, that I watched on Shudder, the horror series streaming. They're not funding us, by the way, but you're welcome to get in touch and we can do an ad for it.
So who put you onto this?
Chris Campbell. Thank you for bringing him up. Chris, hi. He is a good old friend of mine, and strangely there's a connection with you as well, isn't there? Not the fact that we all went to high school in the same town.
Well, no, I mean, but I knew Chris back in the day, and then weirdly, he was teaching my sister's kids. And
teaching or just taking care of?
Well, he was an educator.
Does he educate?
Well, that's what they call them. He's not
Oh.
just a childminder.
Oh,
They
I
do all education
see.
bits and pieces, and yes, and somehow my sister Facebook friended him, and he saw that
We're all friends.
we were all friends, and it was so lovely to catch up with him. When was it? 2 years ago, nearly.
Yeah, 2 years
now.
ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was so lovely.
Yeah, I spoke to him then. Yeah, no, one thing you didn't know about Chris was that he had a zine in the 90s, which I think has developed into a blog. I'm not sure, but it's called The Unflinching Eye, if anyone's interested in checking that out.
Good
He's
name.
he's my go-to for science fiction and alien abduction stories back in the 80s. I remember we shared a lot of those. I was really into a book called Communion, and I think he was too. Whitley Strieber. I think I've got that right. I think that's just come out of my memory, Michelle. I didn't even have to pick up a phone and Google it. It's about a man who's been abducted. But that's something we can touch on later on in the series if we can be bothered to continue doing this. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. And because of him, I watched this docuseries, Cursed Horror Films. It's called Cursed Films, actually. But one thing I did say at the end of last week's episode was, what's more interesting, a cursed horror film, a cursed non-horror film, a non-cursed horror film, or a non-cursed non-horror film? Okay, so we've got the cursed horror films, which are classics like The Exorcist, The Omen, The Crow. I'm going to talk about some of those today. You've got your cursed non-horror, and I touched on Three Men and a Baby.
Well, yes, you did, and I've got a little few bits to add to. Well, that's the only bits I've got to add.
I'm sure there are others, but that's the only one that I'm aware of. And then there's the non-cursed horror, and most people use The Shining as an example of that. That was fine. That went well. That was a good shoot. Everyone had a great time, and I think somebody won an Oscar. Maybe it was Jack Lemmon. Not Jack Lemmon. He's
Jack
not in
Nicholson. Jack Lemmon.
Whoopsie. Oh, I was going to say something about that. Yeah, there's a sequel. I noticed it when I was looking at the television today. It's got Ewan McGregor, who, I don't know how scary he can be, but let's find out. He's the grown-up little boy in The Shining.
Oh,
Called
I didn't
Doctor
even know
Sleep.
about this.
It's called Doctor Sleep. I'm going to watch it and I'll report back. But meanwhile, let me talk to you about cursed horror films. Right. So last week, I previously I touched on the Twilight Zone movie, or Twilight Zone, the movie, as it was called. It was a 1983 film tribute to the TV series and an anthology of 4 episodes directed by Steven Spielberg, George Miller, Star Wars. Is that right? No, that's not Star Wars.
No, that's George
Mad Max.
Lucas.
Far out. Oh my God, I should have taken my pills. George Miller, who was Mad Max, he's the Aussie, isn't he? Joe Dante, what's he done?
Nothing. No career.
No, don't say that, because you said that about Ben Mendelsohn and that was wrong. And John Landis, Animal House, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Right, Jim Belushi, which one died?
Jim.
Yeah, him. He was in some of his films. Anyway, this is the most devastating of all on-set accidents. Actor Vic Morrow and 2 child extras aged 6 and 7 were accidentally killed while shooting a scene involving a low-flying helicopter. Morrow's character was rescuing the 2 children and carrying them through a mocked-up Vietnamese village. Explosions were going off, there were wind machines, and he was wading through water carrying both children when an explosion went off that knocked the chopper to the ground. The rotary blades landed on Morrow and 1 child, slicing them in half.
We talked
immediately.
We talked about this
I know.
last week.
Yeah,
and
but I was
it's
just touching on it. It's
sad.
very
It was sad
devastating.
last
I
week.
know. And then the other child was crushed to death. And the 6 people aboard the helicopter were badly injured. This all happened on film and in front of the children's parents. And it chills me just to think about that.
Jesus
Isn't that
Christ.
horrific?
Awful.
Criminal charges were brought against the film's director, John Landis, and he was found not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, but fined $62,000.
Is that it?
Yes. As it was illegal for children to work after 8 p.m., the child extras were scouted from the street and not through a casting director. So he was definitely having to answer to that charge as well. You know, there's a lot of things went wrong. It was a bad thing that happened. Everybody was scarred. Some people never worked again. It was horrific. People fell out over it. Obviously, Spielberg and Landis were mates. They're not anymore, according to the film. So that was that. I didn't want to go on about that one too much because it's so devastating, but I felt it needed to be mentioned. You said you didn't know anything about it. I remember it on the news.
Do you know what? Afterwards, I did remember something vaguely, but like I said before, zero memory. I don't remember shit. I don't remember anything.
Do you remember what you ate last night for dinner? That's the test.
Yes, I did.
What'd you have? You had.
I had white truffles and.
That's right, you fancy bitch.
I know. That's because Andreas is super cook, so I was.
And tangerines.
No. Tajarine. It's a fancy Piemonte pasta. You can only get it. We were in Italy the other day.
Gosh, you are living it large, aren't you?
Fucking fancy.
The next one I'm going to talk about quickly is The Omen. Didn't you love that film?
Yes.
Now, my parents let me watch that. I think because I begged them, and I was probably about not 12, around 12, but not quite. My brother was 3 years younger, and we had to sleep together for a whole week. We were having nightmares. It never left me, to be honest with you. That was a set plagued by bad luck in the run-up to its production, starting in London. This film, so the production was starting in London is how I should have read that. This film about an American diplomat played by Gregory Peck, who was convinced by a priest at the hospital to swap his stillborn son with that of an orphan without his wife's knowledge. The American family are residing in London, and soon mysterious violent deaths occur around the family. Did you see it?
Yes, but I don't remember any of this.
Oh,
I don't remember.
Let's just not bother going there. Pretend you didn't. Eventually, Greg, as I like to call him, Gregory Peck, that's my favourite Cockney rhyming slang. Get that down your Gregory. Get it down your Gregory Peck.
Your neck.
Eventually, Greg cops on his son Damien is the Antichrist, and his real mum was a big black Labrador. Actually, I might stand corrected on that. I think she might have been more like a Rottweiler.
Are you joking?
It gave birth to a baby in the film. It's the
A dog gave
devil.
birth to the baby.
Yes.
What?
You see it. Yep.
The hell?
Oh, you don't see it. You see it in shadows. The beast, you see that in shadows as well. This is all at the beginning of the film. I haven't watched it recently, but like I said, it's burned into my memory.
Oh, my God.
So here's some of the fun facts. Religious advisor to the film, our religious advisor, they must have had one. Actually, the man who wrote the book was a born-again Christian, I think, and I think this is kind of like a something to say, look, born-again Christianity is really good because this guy is really bad. The devil.
So, call to action for Christians.
Call to action. There you go. Thank you. Religious advisor said, if you make a film about the devil, you invite the devil. Number 2, both Gregory Peck and writer David Seltzer's separate planes were struck by lightning en route to filming in London. Later, Peck, this is quite scary, cancelled a flight that crashed and killed everyone on board. It is also claimed that the plane landed on the road. This is in London, right?
Okay.
And I think it was in London. Maybe not. I might be wrong. The car on the ground carrying the pilot's family is what the plane crashed into.
No.
And I couldn't find any information to back that up. That was just a couple of anecdotals. And I don't know if they were killed as well. That's horrific though, right?
Oh, God.
Number 3, the animal handler who assisted with the balloon... Oh my God, I'm going to start that again. He insisted of a balloon scene. No, that's not what I say. It's the animal handler who assisted with the baboon scene, which had actor Lee Remick, who played Damien's mum, absolutely terrified for real. You know why? Because they put a baby baboon in the back seat to get those baboons to go nuts. She was shitting her pants. So maximum reactions from Lee there.
God, that's a little bit Friedkin.
You can tell in the film. Anyway, that guy or the animal handler was mauled the very next day by either a tiger or a lion. Reports are not quite decided on that. It was basically a big game. Mauled to death, gone.
Oh
done.
My God, worse than Tiger King. Worse.
Yes.
Worse.
God, don't give that game away. Number 4, an IRA bomb, because it was around that time, you know, up until the 90s, there was a lot of IRA bombs that went off. In Piccadilly, near where producers and director Richard Donner were staying. It destroyed a restaurant that executive producer Mace Donner, Gregory Peck, and other members of the cast were booked into that very evening. Number 5, Gregory Peck's stuntman was badly hurt in the graveyard scene, featuring 2 Rottweilers, which wouldn't obey their commands and worked themselves into a frenzy and did some damage to that poor stunty. I mean, anything could have gone wrong, really. I mean, you're always taking a risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
with stunts. And finally, this is the worst one of all, Michelle. Now, brace yourself. Special effects guy John Richardson and his assistant, in some cases they say it's his fiancée, in others they say it's his wife, but they worked together. Liz Moore, they went on to their next film, A Bridge Too Far, in the Netherlands. While driving, they had a car accident in which Richardson was unhurt, but Liz Moore was sadly decapitated in a scene eerily similar to the famous scene that Richardson had helped to create in The Omen, that of with the photographer David Warner's character, who had noticed all the shadows in the photographs of people who were about to die, like, you know, shadows showing that they were going to die. Then he develops a picture of himself with his head, kind of a line going through his neck and head. Ooh. And then he gets rammed into a plate glass window by a car, he gets rammed into a building by a car, and plate glass comes flying, or it's a van or something.
Oh my God.
And it slices him. Yeah. So it's reported, and this could be myth, but it's been reported in many, many places, that it was near a road sign for the Dutch town of Omen, O-M-M-E-N.
No.
66.6 kilometres.
No.
At the time, some said that devil worshippers were responsible for cursing a film that mocked their religion. But if you think about it, it was great publicity for the devil. And due to the many near misses on planes and IRA bombs, perhaps the devil had actually blessed that film. He wanted it made. He's like, come on, I need to get a bit more, give me a bit more exposure. The next film I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Shall I just go straight in? Or do you want to say something?
No, I was just about to say, you know, devil needs some help, some publicity help.
Because he's had a bad rap over the years, over the millennia. Yeah. Poltergeist. Did you see that one?
Yes, don't remember
Carol Ann.
Don't remember it.
No? Okay.
Saw it, don't remember it.
Most people have heard the tragic story of the film franchise's young star, Heather O'Rourke, the actress who played the little blonde darling in that film, Carol Ann. Cast and crew will assure you that her death was devastating, but nothing to do with the film and its potential curse. 11-year-old Heather, who starred in all 3 films, passed away suddenly during filming the 3rd Poltergeist film due to an undiagnosed intestinal obstruction, which ruptured and causing the toxic shock that killed her. They thought she had IBS. She was being treated with steroids and all sorts of things, and it turned out that it was just wrong. So it was a very, very tragic, very sad little girl. You know, that little girl had, you know, future, very bright future, and it was devastating to all cast and crew. Her screen sister in the first film, Dominique Dunn, who appeared, she's the one who said, "What's happening?" Do you remember?
No.
Is that not ringing any bells yet?
No bells.
What's happening? She was shockingly murdered by her ex-boyfriend sometime after the first film's release. Though these deaths should not be attributed to the film in any way, as co-star Zelda Rubinstein, who played medium Tangina Barons, "Step into the light, Carol Ann." I can't do her voice. "Step into the light, Carol Ann." She stated after Heather's passing, this is a quote, "It is a courtesy to put an end to this superstitious crap." So basically everyone's like, fuck off. Shit happens. It happened. Don't think it's just because we may or may not have used real skeletons in the first film.
No.
In the pool scene at the end where the mums, because they realised in the film, they realised that this new housing development has been built on an Indian reservation. Oh. No, that's the second film. The first one is they've been built on a graveyard, but then the dad suddenly realised, you didn't move the bodies. And that's why they've been, taunted
They're
by
trapped
these...
under the swimming pool.
Yeah. They were, they all came bubbling up
all these little 80s kids, swimming around, and they're unhappy. They're making all the ghosts very unhappy.
Very unhappy. The rumor was referring to the art department using real skeletons from India in the scene where the unfinished pool in the family's backyard fills with water, and the bodies from the graveyard developers forgot to move. Of course, real skeletons were used. What do you think they would use? Well, do you know what?
Little placky ones. Little placky skeletons.
Who makes that? How much time do you think they've got? As one guy said, wake up and smell the budget. They haven't got time to make hundreds and hundreds of skeletons out of plaster or whatever they would make them out of. So they'd go to a medical supply and get them.
No.
Real skeletons have been used in loads of films. And before you look too shocked at me, Michelle, my husband's an osteopath. I've got a skeleton in my house.
You do not.
I've got a real skull in my house.
No, you do not. It's plastic.
It's not plastic. He's got a real one. He got it on, I'm not going to say any names, but he got it through a friend of the family who may or may not have been a doctor. It's a real one. It looks different to the skeleton that you might see on display in the window or whatever when he does a promotion. That's a fakie. But the real one, it's quite shocking. It's in a wooden box. When we first moved house, I was like, what's this? Slid open the box. I was like, oh my God, I want this out of my house. I want it out of my house. But he insists on keeping it. It's somewhere in this house, but I don't know where.
That's terrifying. Do you think you can buy them on eBay?
Probably.
I mean...
Do you want one?
No, really, no. But you know, I had to take my dad's ashes illegally. Popped them in my suitcase.
Oh, ashes. What did you do with them then?
Well, I just took them from Australia, popped them in my suitcase, put it just through. Didn't tell anyone I had human remains, and yeah.
Let's hope they don't listen to this podcast, Michelle. You might get in trouble.
Woo! Yeah, I mean, then just...
What did you do with them then? Did you throw them somewhere?
No, I just handed them over to my family, and they took care of them. But...
Did I tell you that I put my hands in ashes recently?
Yes, you did. And you said it
was very shocking.
You said it was greasy.
It was a bit greasy and there was a bit lumpy. There was lumps in. You've just brought that memory flooding back. Okay, so moving on. So they did use real skeletons in most films. Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, real skellies.
I still find that hard to believe. I can't believe that would be allowed.
House on Haunted Hill. It's just easier. It's probably cheaper and quicker and easier just to use a real one. Did you go to that exhibition, that German guy, Bodies, or whatever it was called, where he lays bodies out flat or gets like homeless people and when they're dead and just, puts them on horses and all sorts of things?
No.
It's terrible. It smells funny, that exhibition. I went to that. Wouldn't go now. Anyway, during the filming in the original Poltergeist film of the clown scene, which is a fucking terrifying scene in itself, I am scared of clowns, always have been. That is the one scene that I can never watch. You don't remember it, I can see by your eyes. There's a scene where the little boy goes to bed. It's very early on where things are starting to, the shit's going down. And he sees a little clown, his toy, in the room. And then he thinks it moves. And then he hears a little jingling sound. And eventually the fucking thing comes up from the end of the bed and strangles him. His arms get longer. Well, they used a robotic clown for that scene. And unfortunately, at the time, something went wrong. And the little boy was actually being strangled for real.
I shouldn't laugh.
No, you mustn't laugh, you evil cow.
But what about that poor little kid? He's probably literally got nightmares. Scarred for life.
Yeah.
Tears of a clown, all that. Like, awful.
Oh. A couple of other actors associated with the film also passed away. There was an Indigenous actor called Will Sampson who played an elder in the second film. He passed away 2 years after filming from kidney failure, and it said he requested to visit the set whilst it was empty during filming to perform his own ritual to dispel any bad spirits. Ooh. But I don't think the kidney was anything to do with...
No, I think that sounds...
People who die, they just die. People die.
I know, but that sounds just like... Not even coincidence. It's 2 years later. That's a dud. That's a dud.
Yeah. Actor Julian Beck, who played the baddie Reverend Kane in Poltergeist 2, died of stomach cancer before filming began on the third instalment. As the character was the main antagonist, they replaced the actor, and it said they used a mask of Beck's face to create a stronger resemblance. Now, I've popped that in because it's creepy. Then I did some Wikipediaing on this actor. And he had quite an interesting life. He had, I think he had a couple of wives, or he was living in he was a bit Crowley-esque. He was living a bit of a swingy kind of, I mean, I shouldn't say too much because obviously it's all wrong that I'm probably saying things that are wrong, but interesting chap, Julian Beck.
Well,
there you go.
Take it where you can get it.
We're moving on now to The Crow. 2 electricians had a terrible accident with a cherry picker touching a live wire. This is at the beginning of filming. And one of the men caught fire, got 2nd to 3rd degree burns, and lost his ears.
No!
Right off. Yep. A hurricane destroyed a backlot. Then the rumours began swirling. Brandon Lee, who's the son of martial arts star Bruce Lee, died while filming a scene where an actor shoots at him.
Oh,
This is
I remember this, but I don't remember.
You will. No, all the backstory. Well, the barrel of the gun was not checked for obstructions before filming, so the dummy bullet head was still in the chamber. So anything flying out of a gun at that speed is going to kill you, whether it's a real ammo or if it's dummy head or whatever. So Lee was shot on film, collapsed, didn't get back up again. So he was rushed to hospital where he died. Now, his family and fiancé urged the filmmakers to finish the project, which they did so out of love and loss. And they managed to do so with shadowy shots, because it was a filmy noir kind of thing that was based on a graphic novel anyway. So it was kind of easy to do that. I think I haven't seen the film. I don't know. They believe Brandon Lee died because the studio cut corners and not because of the Lee family curse.
Oh.
The Lee family curse, you say?
What is that?
I
am intrigued.
Bruce Lee also died of mysterious circumstances while shooting the film Game of Death.
No.
It said his father, so this is Brandon Lee's grandfather we're talking about now, believed the family were under a curse where the firstborn son would be taken before his time. Bruce Lee's older brother had died, so the family would dress Bruce as a girl to keep him safe as a child.
Okay, that's going to fuck you up, isn't it?
Yeah. But he did all right.
Yeah, he did.
He turned out okay. He was quite successful. Bruce Lee died off screen after taking a painkiller and never waking up. But some of the rumours include a death blow that was during the filming, like Uma Thurman did to
what is
Bill
it, Donkey
in
Punch?
Kill Bill. It's like, she's tapping all bits of his body and then he's dead. But he doesn't die straight away. He kind of stands there and looks at her for a bit and maybe even goes off, makes a cup of tea. Then about 10 minutes later, clonk, he's dead. Don't you remember Kill Bill?
I don't remember.
Oh my God, Michelle. There's no point watching anything. Is there something else you could be doing with your time? Because you're watching all this shit and it's not going in.
It goes in, it goes straight out. It goes straight out.
You'd be useless in a pub quiz.
Yep.
So anyway, they think that maybe he had been administered one of those death blows by the Chinese mafia. That was one of the conspiracies going around. Though unexplained, it is true that Bruce Lee had his sweat glands removed, which could have contributed to his death if he was fighting an infection.
Why on earth?
It was reported he'd
Why
had...
on earth would...
Oh, because if you think about pictures of Bruce Lee, he's always covered in sweat.
Okay.
Because he works hard. He's a hard little worker.
What's wrong with that? Why would you have your sweat glands removed?
I don't know. Perhaps he was coerced by the studio. I don't know.
That's
I
weird.
don't know.
Okay.
It was reported he'd had a seizure the day before he died. While we love stories of coincidence, Michelle, it gives us the feeling that the world is smaller than it is. That's why we love it.
Okay.
Let me say that again. We love stories of coincidence, Michelle.
We do.
It gives us the feeling that the world is smaller than it is. So that's why I think a lot of these things are down to coincidence.
Well, I mean, you are the skeptic, and I kind of think that maybe there is something to all this. I think that there are obviously some movies that have more like crazy shit going on than others. And, you know, when you are like playing with fire, playing with the devil, maybe you are opening a portal to something else. I know that you don't believe this, but I don't think you can rule it out.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
So tell me, cursed non-horror film.
Yeah, it's
3 Men and a Little Lady, or whatever it was called. Little Baby.
3 Men and a Baby.
3 Men and a Little Baby. Starring, you must know the third actor now because we shamefully left him out.
We called him the other
week.
one. Steve Guttenberg.
Oh,
yeah,
Guttenberg.
Of course. Whatever happened.
Guten Tag, Guttenberg.
What happened to him?
Where's he been?
He hasn't had a career afterwards.
Has he been with poor old Ben Mendelsohn?
Noah Taylor.
Scraping for a living. Winning Oscars secretly and
He's
we're not
hanging
aware.
out with Linda Blair. They never worked again. No, do you know what? I actually think...
Oh God, I hope Mr. Gutenberg's all right now, having laughed at his expense.
Imagine if that was actually like a weird curse on him and we didn't know. You have to Google that. No, so...
What happened to him?
I don't know. I didn't look him up, but...
Oh, what happened in the film then?
So, 3 Men and a Baby. Actually don't remember this either, but I think from memory the premise is that 3 men find a baby, they have to look after it, happy ending. You know, it's a feel-good comedy from the 80s. So basically, I saw an interview with Tom Selleck, and he was like old Tom Selleck, and I swear, he
Old as in he's an old man, or the old
No,
Tom
no,
Selleck?
no, old.
He hasn't changed that much, has he? That big old bushy
Well,
moustache.
he has still got the bushy moustache.
What's he got, Michelle?
A mushy bush.
Bushy moustache.
He's got a mushy bush. Bushy mush. So he basically looked a bit like Colonel Sanders, Mr. KFC.
Oh,
yes.
what now?
He looked a bit. I mean, he just looked an elderly gent. And
well, I haven't seen any pictures of him. I'll have to
check him out. And it was, I don't know, there's some video. He's talking to some American talk show host, don't remember who. And he was talking about 3 Men and a Baby. And obviously, we talked about this last week. There's a rumour that there were ghostly images that appeared in the film that were unexplainable. So apparently, the rumour was that there was the ghost of a little boy who had died in the house where the film was shot, and that he can be seen in the window staring into the room where the Ted Danson character and Ted Danson's character's mum and the baby, Mary, are in like this room in one particular scene. Now,
hang on, I'm a bit confused because I thought it was Billy Crystal.
What? No.
He's not in it.
No.
Sorry.
So
okay,
we've got Tom.
I got
we've got Tom Selleck, Ted Danson, Steve
Guttenberg.
They're no Billy Crystal.
Right, okay.
You're thinking of thank God he no. What is it? When Harry Met Sally.
Blazing Saddles?
Sally. Oh. Another 80s.
Okay.
That's a rom-com. No babies in that one. But this one, so it's the Ted Danson character, and he plays an actor in the film, and in this particular scene, he's there giving this baby, like just handing over the baby to his mum, and in the background, and I've seen the footage, there's a ghostly image just peering in through the window. And so anyway, Tom Selleck is talking about it, and he said, well, it's the rumor that this little boy died in the house. He's like, well, so he said, well, he didn't want to. He's like, I don't want to debunk the mystery here, but we shoot on a sound set. There was no house, so there was no house where this little boy had died because it didn't exist. And then he said, they were on this sound stage, and he said, and basically, it's a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson, they used, and when you look at it, you can kind of see that it's him in like this weird little it's in like a little top hat. He's in like his little top and tails, and
somebody lost their job for that, Michelle. Who left Mr. Danson's cutout on set? Who was it?
Think it was a job.
You'll never work in this town again.
I think it could have been just a jolly jape that somebody popped it in the window as a little joke. But yeah, it's bullshit. There's no haunting. I know. Sorry.
Did you find any other non-horror films that were haunted or cursed?
No, it just doesn't really exist.
Isn't that funny how only the horror films are haunted, but not all
of them. Like you said, Jack in The Shining, which is fucking scary.
The brilliant Jack Lemmon and his younger brother Jack Nicholson, his body double.
Oh, he's wonderful. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if there was anything that just maybe hasn't come to light. But yes, it hasn't gone down in history as being one of those cursed films.
Deep dive. We need to do a deep dive. Or maybe somebody would like to let us know. How could they do that if they wanted to, Michelle? Have we got a way of getting in touch? Do you think we could get in touch
with Jack? I'd love to.
What, you think Jack Nicholson?
If anyone's got an email for Jack, let us know.
Please let Michelle know. She has experience of interviewing famous people because you are actually a journalist.
Yes, I have. So, I've interviewed a few famous people, not Jack, sadly, but...
Who have you interviewed? Who's the most famous person you've interviewed?
Probably Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, she loved you, didn't she? But she loved you.
I asked her some mean questions.
Of course you did, because you're a little
bitch. But she did show me pictures of her kids. If I was her, I would not have shown me pictures of her kids after I'd basically implied that she had sex with her brother. But anyway, That's another story.
Did you?
Because it was the time when there were all those rumours that she was a little too close to her brother.
Right. Well, that she was snogging him on the red carpet and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I got a bit in trouble from the PR.
How did that go down?
Well. It didn't go down well.
What did she say? Did she say something to you?
Quite horrified. I wish I still had that recording, actually, but that probably went up in the fire with everything else I own. Yes.
Oh dear.
But anyway, yes. Sorry to debunk your cursed non-horror.
Well, I had heard that was a possible answer to what it was, but I just wanted to see if you'd uncover any other non-horror cursed films.
It just doesn't really seem to exist. Maybe Chris Campbell might have a few ideas for us.
Chris, get in touch. If you're listening, please get in touch. Otherwise, we will hound you because we do have your address, unlike Jack Nicholson.
Where you live.
Damn it.
But yes, so I think, that was really the end of my pathetic research.
Well, we're finished. We're done. This is the first mini droppings.
Extra droppings.
Extra droppings.
Extra droppings.